Before I really jump into things, I want to get an idea of how many of you out there are not using Roost for an RPA platform. Raise of hands. All right, there's a couple of you. Roost sales, I just helped you out. Make sure you wrote that down. Go talk to them. So before I really get into this, I made a change to what my intention is with my presentation. I was originally just up here to show you something cool that we have been working on, but as I've been here, I've come to realize that there might be something that isn't really being talked about all that much with automation. We talk about how automation can help us save time and increase our efficiency, but we don't talk about how with automation, another way we can start making more money and increasing our operational efficiency is by taking situations that you would normally use an off-the-shelf product for and replacing that with automation. Now you have less you have to pay for, less platforms you have to manage, and you can continue your journey that way. So, introduce myself a little. Chris Stringham, Summit Technology. I'm the Customer Loyalty Manager. That means I manage our help desk. But as many of you working for MSPs, I wear multiple hats. That includes business process automation, development, and database administration. Now, the reason I asked you why, or if you used Roost, was to see if I was the only one who didn't. All of our systems are built on the Microsoft Power Platform, and so what I'm going to be showing you today is majority through Power Automate. So as an MSP, one of the things that you can do to best become sticky with your customers is to communicate with them. Constant communication. Make sure they know what you are doing to keep their environment safe, to keep them in business. Otherwise, they will forget who you are, and they'll look for other people to help them. Something that I see with MSPs a lot is from the MSP subreddit, people asking how to send notifications out to their clients, how to send alerts and get information out to every single user. And it's something a lot of MSPs have struggled with. We at Summit have struggled with the exact same thing in the past. We used to have a person who would log into an Outlook mailbox, compose a message all through Outlook, then BCC every single user that we were trying to get a message to. And if any of you know how Exchange security settings work, you know that's a bad thing and a good way to get yourself put on a spam list. So we came up with a Microsoft Power App instead. This Power App takes a notification request that we push through. That notification request kicks off a Power Automate flow, talks to our admins in our environment using Microsoft Teams. If they approve the message that we are sending out, it waits till the scheduled date and time, sends the notification information in JSON format over to Twilio SendGrid. Twilio SendGrid then sends that onto our customers' environments. We have a dynamic distribution list that we use in each of those environments, and that expands it out to every single user. Of course, for something like this, there is a little bit of overhead that you have to do. You have to use an email messaging campaign to avoid getting put on a send or a spam list, like I was saying before. We opted to use Twilio SendGrid for a couple of reasons. One, Azure makes it free. There is a plan within Microsoft Azure right now that you can go and sign up for that allows you to send 100 messages per day for free. And since you are using dynamic distribution lists within the customer's tenant, you only have to send one email per customer. The other reason we chose Twilio SendGrid over something like MailChimp or Mooseend or a CRM like HubSpot is that Twilio has prioritized using deep integrations for SendGrid. They don't want you signing into their platform's admin page to send out your notification. They want you to send it through their API. They want you to integrate it into your workflow. So there is some more overhead you have to do. You have to create a dynamic distribution list in each customer's environment. That's fairly easy. Set it up so it's pulling in only the licensed users, people with Exchange mailboxes. Then on top of that, add a little bit of security to make sure no one can spam this account and send information out to all of the company. If you are doing this in a hybrid environment, there is a bit of a caveat. you will need to create a mail contact for your dynamic distribution list. This is to get the identity syncing to Entra ID and prevent your email into their tenant from being blocked by directory-based edge blocking. So if we jump into how this flow actually works, again, this is all using Microsoft Power Automate. Some of you may not be familiar with how this looks. I know it's nowhere near as pretty as Roost, and there's some things that Roost does better than Power Automate. But with our whole system being built in the Power Platform, this is what works for us. So when we have a notification go into an active state, we take that notification and grab our SendGrid API key. This is one of those points that Roost does better than Power Automate. Roost is amazing at connecting to third-party systems, even if they aren't an out-of-the-box integration. Power Automate, not so much. To the point that most of the time, the flows that I run, I'm just using basic HTTP requests to send out information. Then I initialize a few variables. I'll talk about those as they pop up. We go through and determine how we want to send our notification out. In this case, we have a few different options. We can do a global send, and that sends it out to every single company within our CRM. We can do an Agility 365 send, which is our premier support contracts, or we can do a targeted send. In this demo, I'll be doing a targeted send. That's going to take one customer. We're going to grab their account from our Dataverse table, fill in some of their support information. This is white labeled support email and support phone number that we give to each customer for them to contact us. If that doesn't exist, we populate it with some generic, our pre-published information that anyone can use. Then we check the type of template that we want to use. In this case, we have two options, Agility Onboarding and Default. Agility Onboarding is to welcome new Premier Support customers. Default is a custom template we can use to send out any information we want. We populate one of those variables with the template ID that we're going to be using, as well as some JSON information about what we want showing up in that template. We check for a site. One of the benefits of doing things this way is we can send to an individual site for our customers. If we only want the people in their headquarters to know, only the people in their headquarters will know. In this case, we're just going to send it to the whole customer. We validate that they have a dynamic distribution list available, and we hit send. So, like I said, Twilio SendGrid does an awesome job at allowing us to send through APIs. They want you to build this into their workflow. So, we have a bit of a demo of what this actually looks like from our user's perspective. From our Power App, they can click New and start a new notification. They fill in a little information about what's actually going to be in the notification that they're sending. Select a start date, a start time, and then an end date and end time. That start date schedules when it should go out. The end time is used for a customer portal that we've developed from the ground up and given to our customers through Teams. We've also published that into the Teams app source. We give this a title. That title is the subject line for our notification, and then a body. This is a rich text field, and any formatting that you do through here is all going to be reflected in the final notification. So we'll save that. Now, if we go back into our newly created notification, we can see it's in a new status. This kicks off a couple of automations in the background. We can see it's now saying pending approval. That means an admin on our team has just gotten a Teams message saying, Chris is trying to send a notification to all users at our dummy account. Is that okay? If they go in and say, yeah, it's fine, approve that, we can check in here, it's now in an approved status. There's another flow that happens in the background that is going to be handling the actual scheduling of sending this out. That runs once every minute. So you can see I try a couple times here to see if it's ready. That looks for approved messages, validates the start time, and if we are past that, swaps it to active and kicks off that flow that I talked about just a second ago. Next, we can jump into the Exchange environment of our customer, do a quick message trace for the account that we are sending from, and we can see all of those messages have already populated into the mailboxes of all of these users. We jump into Outlook and just further validation. This email is already there, and Outlook's doing Outlook things and blocking our pictures, but we can see the final notification with the content that we put in and our support information as well. The benefit of a system like this, and like I said, I originally wanted to just show you something cool. But what I realized is this is a process that a lot of people have struggled with, and something that we can really take advantage of if we start getting into the mindset of you have tools that you are paying for on a day-to-day basis, but it's something that you could potentially automate yourself. So instead of paying potentially hundreds of dollars a month for an email marketing campaign tool, instead of paying for a whole nother CRM to send these out, and then instead of having to manage a whole nother contact list where we all know that it's going to go out of date unless we're doing that in an automated way. This allows us to send these notifications start to end in as little as 2 minutes. And that contact list for each of our customers is constantly being updated through the use of those dynamic distribution lists. I really think that there's a lot that we can take with this mindset. If we think more about what are we paying for, what platforms are we using on a day-to-day basis, and what processes are those platforms achieving? If we start thinking about that more and more, we can find more and more of these things that we could do ourselves. We don't need to pay for MailChimp or Mooseend to handle this for us. We can send it out ourselves. Now, this is just one example. There's tons of stuff that you could be doing, tons of platforms that you could replace with your own automations. I glossed over a lot of the stuff with this flow, and I'm sure there's questions, and I'm happy to answer those if you want to come up and talk to me afterwards. I also have a blog that I've began publishing some information onto that I would love for you to all go look at. I only have one post on there right now, but that's data-novice.com. I'm going to do a deeper dive into this in the coming weeks and explain more of how this process works. And then I plan from there showing more things that we can be replacing and more places that MSPs can be saving money. I really appreciate you all being here, and I can't wait to talk to you more. I'm sure we have some time for questions.
Yeah, we can definitely
Awesome.
carve out some time. A couple of minutes we can do for that. And could you repeat the URL again, just for those who missed it?
Yeah, data-novice.com.
Data-novice.com. I look forward to checking it out. Awesome. You know the standard line for me. I always have questions. Anyone have questions? Question. When did you build this, and how long has it been out there? And did you have to fine-tune it at all after a few revs, or was it like day one, A-okay?
So we built this about a year ago at this point, and it's the first iteration of it worked, but it was very limited in what we were able to do. We weren't able to include images. We only had one template. We couldn't send out everything that we wanted to our customers. And so there's obviously been revisions. Every single flow that you're going to work on, there's going to be revisions.
Gotcha. And just FYI, I am not an MSP. I've never been an MSP. By pure coincidence, in my former business, in the media space, we use SendGrid because it was exactly your point. Like, I want to automate, and I don't want to start buying more SaaS platforms.
Yep.
I want one version of the truth in terms of what I'm up to.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things that, like I said, I don't think it's talked about enough as one of those benefits of automation. We talk about how automation will save us time, but we don't talk about how automation will also make it so we have less we have to manage from a platform perspective.
Okay. I want to be respectful of the audience. Any questions? We got one question over here. And I know we're coming up against panel time, but I'll make sure we work it all out. Don't worry. I want to make sure we get Chris's questions answered. Or questions for Chris answered, excuse me.
Hey there, my name is Andy. I'm with a MSP in Colorado Springs called RainTech, and this is actually something that I've been trying to do. So thank you for sharing this. Awesome.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit more on what is that Azure license that you're saying gives you free 100 messages with Twilio? Yeah.
So Microsoft actually worked out a deal with Twilio to provide SendGrid as a service through Azure. So if you go into the Azure portal and look up Twilio SendGrid in their just normal search, you can sign up for a SendGrid account through there. And like I was showing, that free account allows you to send 100 messages per day. They say it's going to be up for forever, or whatever forever is in Microsoft terms. And so if you are sending more than that out, there is their base plan, which is 50,000 messages per month. That's only $20 per month. And so that should cover just about everyone.
Do you know if that includes any incoming messages too?
So no, it does not provide
Only
an
outgoing.
option for incoming messages. That's why we insert our support information into there. So if there are any questions, they're able to use that to reply
Perfect.
to us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome tip. Okay, final question. Your blog, teaser alert.
Yeah.
Any key themes that we can expect on that in the days and weeks ahead that you're thinking about writing about?
Everything that I want to talk about is based around automation. But again, that's all through the Microsoft Power Platform. And so that's going to be my big focus. I would try to keep it like this event, agnostic to what the actual takeaways are, and show that these things can be done in other platforms. It's just what I have available to me. But that's what I want to get out to the community, is how to take advantage of these platforms further to work on workflows that they're already paying for other platforms for, and take it a step further so now they're in control of that process.
Fantastic. I look forward to reading it. Thanks for your time, Chris. Good to meet you.
Thank you.